Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. We got ourselves a little bit of news that, as of right now, is not related in any real way to the Seattle Seahawks, but it could be. It could be. And even if it's not, it's a good indication of the kinds of things that you are going to see happen in the next month or so. So let's go ahead and take some time to talk about it. I got a group of comments on my last video asking me about this when the news broke. So let's go ahead and address it in a full video. Why not, right? So earlier today, the Washington football team gave their longtime stud right tackle Morgan Moses permission to seek a trade. Here's the PFT article talking about it, detailing it. Basically, he's scheduled to make $7.75 million in 2021. The football team drafted Samuel Cosme in the second round, so they're probably going to make him start at right tackle. And the team just signed Charles Leno Jr. from the Bears, who I spoke about in a previous video, probably to play at left tackle. So they don't really have a need for a player like Morgan Moses anymore, who is good, but also, expensive, and they just need to move on. They need to cut costs somewhere, and Morgan Moses is a good place to do it. So if Washington cannot trade him, look for them to maybe cut him, but he's a good enough player to where you would think that somebody would be willing to give up a half-decent asset for him. As for what that trade could be, it's really hard to know. He's a 30-year-old right tackle who has had some really nice seasons for Washington, but I don't think he's ever been an all-pro or anything like that. He's never been considered the best tackle in the league or the best even right tackle in the league. So it's not going to be some huge haul. It's not going to be a Lane Johnson type situation where you could legitimately get massive assets for him if you moved him at a reasonable age, but he has value. I imagine you could probably get a third round pick out of him. So the question that people asked me in the comments was, would you have any interest in the Seahawks acquiring Morgan Moses? And I think the answer is it depends, like it is with so many things when it comes to questions like that. Okay, first let's take a look at Morgan Moses, the player. All right, he's just turned 30 a couple months ago. He's been a starting right tackle for the last 6 years. He has not missed a game. And this is really kind of the crux of everything. I mean, look at this. 16 games, 16 games, 16 games. This guy is an Iron Man, okay? So, when you talk about Morgan Moses, before anything else, the first thing you have to say is this dude can stay on the field like nobody's business. Has not missed a start since he became the full-time starter in 2015. And as you can see, he's never made the Pro Bowl, much less an All-Pro team, but he's been a reliable starter for this team. And if you take a look at PFF to try to gauge exactly how good he's been, you're going to find some pretty good results here. Last year, he was actually, according to PFF anyway, he had his best season, 80.6. Now, if you go back into previous years, you find results that are less impressive, but not bad. 65 in 2019, 64 in 2018, 67 in 2017. That's pretty good. 2016, 76.8. Very nice. And 2015, which I think was his first full year as starter, 75. So this guy was legitimately a very solid starter for the Redskins and now football team. So how does that stack up to our current starting right tackle, Brandon Shell? Okay. Well, first of all, Brandon Shell is 1 year younger, for whatever that's worth, which is not that much. And he is not quite that level of Iron Man, as we can clearly see here. He has yet to play a full season, although he did start 14 games in 2018 and play in 15 games in 2019. He has not played a full season yet. And last year, we know that while he played pretty well, he only played in 11 games. So he missed 5. And there were at least 1 or 2 games when he played at less than 100%, and you could tell. So injuries are a problem for Brandon Shell. As for his level of play, well, in 2020, PFF liked him a lot. They gave him a grade of almost 73. They said he was very effective. They actually said that he only gave up 3 sacks. And if you look at Morgan Moses, and part of the reason why is because he's playing every game, but Morgan Moses gave up at least 5 sacks in every season I could find. So, don't sleep completely on Brandon Shell's effectiveness as a right tackle. But the thing is, if you go back through the other years in his career, 2020 could easily end up proving to be something of an aberration, where that's just the best he ever plays. And then in the future, he can go back to being this guy, the 63-64 PFF grade guy. Yeah, 63 again, 2017 65, where he's just a guy. And this was the first year when he didn't play that much. He had a good grade here in 200 snaps. But yeah, it seems to me that Brandon Shell's ceiling is right around Morgan Moses's floor. And when you factor in the consideration that Morgan Moses knows how to stay a little healthier, or a lot healthier than Brandon Shell, it seems like there might be something here. So the initial answer of whether or not this would be better than Shell, the answer to that question would be almost certainly. So first, before I go a little further into this, I want to say this is the upgrade at right tackle that you want. I've had a lot of people bring up Mitchell Schwartz to me in recent weeks, last couple months even. Mitchell Schwartz may never be healthy again. I don't want anything to do with Mitchell Schwartz until I hear that he can actually use his back. Last I heard, he cannot bend his back. He literally cannot tie his shoelaces because he can't bend his back. So I don't want anything to do with that. This is what I want something to do with right here. This guy, if anything. So as for what a trade would cost, the fact that everybody knows Washington is trying to trade him should tank his value a little bit. And the fact that he's making almost $8 million in 2021 should also take his value down a little bit. I still feel like there would be a bidding war for him. And could the Seahawks be a team that outbids other teams? In theory, yes. Do I want to do that? I mean, these are the tough decisions. I kind of feel like the answer would be yes. I would be willing to go up to a 4th round or even a 3rd round pick if that ends up being what it cost. If it costs any more than that, then some teams just being crazy and you just have to let crazy teams be crazy sometimes. But here's the thing also. If you trade for Morgan Moses, you're not just trading for Morgan Moses, you're also trading for the $3.5 million you save when you cut Shell. Because if you get Morgan Moses, you can cut Brandon Shell. And if you can put that $3.5 million towards bringing in another veteran, pick your favorite of Austin Ryder or KJ Wright or Richard Sherman or whatever, then it becomes even more worth it. Because, yeah, you're going to have to pay Morgan Moses $7.75 million in 2021, but you have to remember, you're also going to be saving $3.5 million when you cut Shell. So when you look at it that way, it's not that bad. So would I be willing to trade for Morgan Moses? I think so. Do I think this team is going to do it? Not really. I'll say this. If we end up with Morgan Moses one way or the other, there is still the possibility that he gets released and then we can just sign him. Don't be surprised if that happens, by the way, just because he's due so much money and because Washington's already kind of tipped their hand here. Don't be surprised if he ends up on the open market. But if we brought in a guy like a Morgan Moses and then brought in a guy like Austin Ryder, I better not hear a peep from anybody about our offensive line this year, okay? Because that would be a top 5 offensive line in the NFL, no problem whatsoever. So let's see what happens. But I'm going to say this. I'm interested in Morgan Moses, but I'm not dying to do it. I don't think this team is going to do it. And, you got to think about things in a longer term sense. Trading for Morgan Moses is not just about Morgan Moses. It's also, you trade for Morgan Moses, you cut Brandon Shell, you get to use $3.5 million on something else. So you got to think about things a few steps ahead. This is chess. All right. See you guys later tonight in stream. Peace out, go Hawks. And let me know what you think about Morgan Moses in the comments. He'd be a clear upgrade over Brandon Shell in more ways than one. But at the same time, it's not like Brandon Shell's the worst player in the world. So let me know. Peace out.